Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Well, a little bit of technical issues there. Hello, Spurs family. Welcome to another episode of Daily Tottenham, your one-step daily podcast for all things Tottenham Hotspur on the Global Podcast Network. Good morning, good evening. I am Chris Mervyn. Today, I'm not sure. Last night, after the match, I was going to rant and rave, be highly emotional, come up with some rousing call about getting behind the team. And I still want to do that, but I've definitely calmed down a bit and gone a bit numb again, really. I can't feel anything. I'm pinching my arms. Nothing's happening. There's no pain there. I am, again, joined by my midfield maestro, Ollie Kasabi. Ollie, how are you, mate? How are you feeling? Same old, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The feeling I have is just numb. That's all I feel. I don't feel anger. I don't feel happiness. I feel nothing right now with Tottenham.
We're obviously going to talk about Leicester. We're going to talk about what happened in the game, first half, and obviously the second half, the aftermath. We'll talk a bit about Ange, ENIC, transfers, Ange, ENIC, transfers, Ange, ENIC, transfers. You can pick and choose, and I think we're on the same page regarding who we blame. But we'll give a broad picture about who could be to blame, because to be honest, the blame always ends up at the top, but there's not the people who actually end up going, unfortunately. Yeah. And it's a path we've been down before, and the readings on the actual points gained do not read very well at all, unfortunately. First off, mate, Leicester. We were quite confident, weren't we? Well, not confident as it can be. We were sure that we would try and get something out of it. Yeah. We should have. On paper, and I always say this, on paper, we can beat any team, and we should have beaten that team. But what happened?
I mean, I expected a kind of a battering, to be honest, but we didn't even get going from minute one. We didn't get going, and I honestly only remember us having about 3 chances at home to Leicester, which says it all, really.
I said the last match we lost was disgusting. I'm trying to find disappointing isn't even the right word with it, and we were lucky going into half time, sort of leading there, but crikey, they just came back. For those who didn't see the match, again, it was tale of two halves, and we know that our players are tired. They need to make a fast start, and we need to get those goals in. And if we don't do that, then it catches up with us. We need to take our chances. Fundamentally, we didn't create enough chances, I think, was the thing. We did have some clear-cut opportunities. Again, Son, he had a good opportunity there. Richarlison, he could have done better on a few occasions. But, I mean, we're playing with Richarlison, who, by all accounts, judging by what the manager said at the end, is basically playing with one groin, and that's it. Now, we've got a bench, which we started with a bench with players on there who are still injured. It is crazy. And some youth players. Fantastic. And Mikey Moore, I don't class as a total youth player.
We're still short on players. We can't even name a full Premier League bench or a full European bench. We are in the trenches right now.
100%. Let's talk about the match again. Finish it off. So good first half in the sense that we actually were trying to churn it out, but you could see the players are tired already. It was very, very open. And the second half, give it to Van Nistelrooy, or more likely the man up front, which we don't name, who we both don't like, from Leicester. He probably got them going, and they wanted to scrap, and they did. They came out fighting, and they were the better team, unfortunately.
I'd like to blame the second half defeat on tiredness, but we didn't even get going as soon as the whistle blew from the 45 minutes onwards. Like, normally we'd at least have 15 to 20 minutes of playing football, but we just didn't play football at all. And they scored both their goals in the time I thought we would be playing our football. That's what's disappointing.
They levelled Vardy. Vardy levelled 58 seconds after the restart.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 4 minutes later, wasn't it?
Something like that. Very, very close.
They were ahead. And XG-wise, if you follow XG, which I don't tend to follow, but Fox has produced 1.50 XG to Spurs 1.04. And yeah, Kulusevski, Porro and Dragosan all had golden opportunities. Porro's one in particular, Ange was shouting from the sidelines that he should have crossed it to Archie Gray, I believe.
I cannot believe he shot from there.
Yeah.
My head was on Mars when he did that.
Yeah, I'm not going to... Well, that was a bad shot, of course it is. But Porro in particular, at least he's showing some fight. And, he's the only fit, proper first-team defender, isn't he, really?
Yeah.
He is. He's the only fit one. And he should be rested. And by the end of it, again, out on their feet, really disappointing result at the end of the day. So we're winless in the last 7, I believe, in the league. Leicester picked up the first victory in 9 attempts to move above both Ipswich and Wolves, climbing out of the bottom 3 in the process. And I think, what are we, 8 points away from the relegation zone?
We're too close for my liking.
We're too close. I can't believe we're saying this. After the match, I think we had quite a few WhatsApp messages, did with other people as well. But it was crazy. The attacks were predictable, lacking quality. Mikey Moore, again, better when he was on, in my opinion. Big boos when Charlison went off, but obviously he is injured by the sounds of it. But, I mean, I would have put Lancashire on. At least he's a striker in the right position.
I'll give Ange the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate, to do that. But, I mean, it's crazy. Were we not entertained? No, mate, I wasn't entertained at all. Not at all. Not at all. I think Spurs managers in the last 7 games before they got sacked, just looking at the stack, Antonio Conte, 13 points for the last 7 games before he got sacked. Jose Mourinho, 11. Nuno Santo, 9. Pochettino, 6. Ange, 1 point in the last 7 games before he's, and they might be sacked, who knows. It's disappointing, it really is. Could we have done anything better? Of course we could, against Leicester. But we couldn't do anything better with the team we named, unfortunately. Loads of social media, and we both said before this podcast started that we went off social media yesterday, didn't listen to anybody, especially the Facebook groups. My God, there's some vicious VAR people on there. There really is. It's just not worth getting involved with.
Yeah, don't need the negativity.
100%. But, that's where we are. Do you see us getting stronger? We'll talk about the Elsevier match at the end of the pod, but how can we get stronger? I'm not sure on the timescales of people going back.
Romero and Van der Ven have been training, but that isn't enough. The way we get stronger is having 2 new signings in the door before the window, at least 2.
These are different now, aren't they? Well, let's grab an advert and let's talk about transfers. Levy and Ange, all the different things which could happen. Thing that's probably going to happen. We both know that as well, and transfers as well. Back after this. This podcast is part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team, the Premier League, women's football and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club, every day. Welcome back. Ollie, so transfers. Where we are in the league, it's changed things, in my opinion. I don't know what you feel. I think that it's so difficult for Ange anyway to play this style without his first 11. The style he wants to, and it's a top-level style. When we have lesser players, we're drawn into a different kind of football match, and he's not going to adapt, unfortunately, which is going to be to his detriment. Plus, we've also got a situation where the players we've got, again in the first team even, and currently available, are probably not the right players for playing at the bottom of the league, in my opinion. We've got a few, you could class them as luxury players. And I say Maddison in that, not because I don't like Maddison, but he needs to play on the front foot and, backs against the wall. He's got all the talk and the chat, but obviously he didn't make it for the match against Leicester because he was a bit sore.
Yeah. When we're in a situation we're in now, I don't really care how sore you are. Unless you've got a proper injury, you should be at least being on that bench.
There's people there who can't even play. There's Richarlison who, as I said, he's playing with one groin. Maddison, get on there, put a shift in, even if it's 25 minutes. Surely he could have come off the bench 25 minutes.
We need the bodies, and when he's
second half,
he should know better. He's a senior player.
It was so open, and it was almost crying out for him to come on, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he wasn't named, so he couldn't do that. But the space was there, and the quality of delivery of balls and chances created was zero. And someone like Maddison, you need in that position to be able to do it. So I'm stuck in regards to transfers because I've said it before in this podcast. I don't think we're going to get anybody in. We need somebody in. We need two people, like you said. But I think if you're an owner, you're looking at it thinking, okay, they need players, but he needed players for a long time. He needed players from the blooming transfers opening. Every Spurs player, when the transfer window opened, we were rubbing our hands. Right, now's the time when they come in. It's like a bus that just decides not to come on the bus stop.
We needed them we needed them lined up for the window that they could come in within the first week. And now we're 27 days into the window and we've signed a goalkeeper. That's it.
And that goalkeeper was brought forward. He's not a signing for January. He
was
brought forward for the summer. Yeah, so it's a planned one. So don't give us that rubbish. He's a good player, by the way, but he's not a list. He's not a transfer in January. He's a panic because you had to bring something forward because of situation with injuries. I get that totally, but and also people are saying about players out on loan. Well, for the benefit of those players, the young players, they're going to come back and have a game, 6 games, and that's it. And then what are you going to do? That's aside from the registration issues you've got as well. So it's really difficult to know what to do if you were an owner. We all know they basically shafted him in the summer by not getting enough players.
Yeah,
professional, seasoned pros to balance the team out. You can't win on. Although somebody did once, very famous, did win with kids. Of course he did. But those were special kids and it was a different time and era. And the quality is not miles apart now in the Premier League. We're not talking the team at the top is going to beat the team at the... Well, that's not right, actually. Although we're playing Southampton soon. Any team on a given day can beat any team.
Yeah, the Premier League this year, maybe I'm saying it because we're bad, but it's the most competitive it's been in a while, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So many, I feel like Forest were 7 games unbeaten or something, and then Bournemouth go and beat them 5-0. It's just ridiculous.
Bournemouth are ripping it up, and they've got an injury crisis as well.
They do.
Yes, it's not as bad as ours. Of course
it isn't as bad at all, and they are only playing 1 game a week. Yeah,
this is it. So we knew where we were going to be. We knew we were going to be in the European leagues. We knew we were going to try and challenge in the cups. If you win a challenge on those fronts, yes, you can bring some bright young starlets in to fill in a few things in the FA Cup or pad out the bench. But crikey, we needed the proper professional players in.
You needed
spend
more.
Some bloody money.
Yeah.
And we had the money. I don't buy the fact that we haven't got the money and it's all about FFP.
We won't have a problem with FFP because we are a financial powerhouse, and Levy will never put himself in a position where he could get in trouble with all that FFP stuff. So there's no doubt in my mind that we could go and spend some proper money this window, but Levy chose not to.
Yeah, and he's effectively left Ange out now to dry. So it's a great reason for people who don't want Ange in the first place or didn't think he was all that to now jump even further onto the bandwagon. Essentially, for me, the buck stops at ENIC and Levy, not backing the manager. And you can say he backed the manager by buying Solanke. That was the only player he bought of worth in the summer, and that was some good money. Of course it was, and he's proven that he's a good player. But the rest of the players, they weren't players who were going to push us on and give us the push and drive to get these cup competitions done.
It's never going to change with Levy. We've had problems with every manager that's come in since Poch. They just haven't got the resources they needed. Even Poch, I'm pretty sure after we got to the Champions League final, we didn't spend a penny in the summer transfer window.
No, he said, it's a rebuild now. We need a rebuild. And that team was aging and you could see it. And they needed to spend some decent money. And I think someone's going to profit from Ange's work here because eventually these players are going to come through. But we're in a situation where it's really painful. Kids are crying in the street, not turning up for school on Mondays, that sort of stuff. Because it's almost, you're never ashamed of your club because you are Tottenham till you die. But crikey, there's been a few more playground fights today, I'm sure. Oh dear. So where do we go from here, mate? Let's have a next look at the games leading up. Let's have a look.
We got Elfsborg, Brentford, Liverpool,
Aston Villa, Man U, Ipswich. Obviously, Villa's the FA Cup match. Liverpool's the big one, semi-final of the Carabao Cup. But that is after Elfsborg and Brentford. I mean, let's talk about Elfsborg in a minute after the break. But going on forward, he probably has to beat Elfsborg still. I don't think he'll get rid of him then anyway. I think he's going to be into the Carabao Cup and then decide because then he's out the easiest chance there.
I think because we've got the 3 cup games, including Europa League, on Thursday, very close. And I could see us losing to Villa and losing to Liverpool. And then he's out of both domestic cups. We're not getting Europe in the league. And then I think it's just the Europa League because I believe we're going to win on Thursday. So he's in 1 cup, 1 competition, and I don't know if that's going to be enough for him to keep his job.
No, but it's possibly enough for somebody to come in still with the chance of winning the Europa League, knowing that actually the squad, when it's fit, is the best. I think we still were, even after playing the other night, we're still the ones who were in the lead of actually winning that, basically. So, yeah, it's such a difficult situation. And, I've heard about people saying about the Bournemouth manager coming. Not being funny, why would the Bournemouth manager want to come right now?
Exactly.
And work with Levy.
Some people need to have a bit of perspective and realise that they're competing they're close to the Champions League, and with like 15th, 16th, 17th, there's no chance he would ever join us. And I don't want him. I want to stick with Ange.
Yeah,
right now.
And he's taken it. He knows what Levy's like. He's seen what's happened previously. Yeah, he came along and he's taken the job. And regardless of it's Celtic and it's a bigger move. Well, it's proven not to be a better club currently, but it's dealing with Levy and the structure and the way you do things. Lang, sporting director, where are you? Has anybody seen him?
He's gone missing.
I saw a picture of him and I was like, is that what he looks like? And he had, those little disguises with the glasses and the moustache. You may as well put that on him because that's what he's doing. He's hiding. And I know he's a type of, by all accounts, he's a type of sporting director to actually not mention anything and leak anything until the deal's done. And you saw that with Oliver. But sometimes give us hope that something is actually being done, because or else we're just going to bloody moan that you're useless and you're not doing anything. And by the way, I feel that is the case anyway. We are in dire straits on that one. Before we talk about Elfsborg and have the break, mate, what do you think is going to happen with Ange? So you think he's going to stay until after those 2 cups?
Yeah.
See where we are. Judging by who's available, I think there's a person available overseas, isn't there, for manager, but it's a difficult one to see where it happens.
I just don't see any...
How can we get Levy out?
Well, I mean, we're never getting him out. I just don't see any point in sacking him.
We want our Tottenham back.
There's no point in sacking him because the replacements aren't good enough. that we're in a rebuild right now. It would be silly, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Right, after the break, we're going to talk our next European match, and it's going to be a win. It's got to be.
Do you have a story to tell that the world needs to hear? Have you struggled with reaching new audiences to engage with your story? It might be time for you to start a podcast. Let me tell you about a platform we use here at Global Sports Podcast Network. Zencastr makes it easy to start a high-quality podcast built for growth from day one. With 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes ums, ahs, your nose, and 20 other speech patterns, Zencastr makes it super easy to start a podcast that sounds great. Ready to tell your story? Check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr.
Welcome back to the third and final part of this enlightening podcast where we are trying to find out what's going to go happen next with our beloved Spurs. Every day is like Groundhog Day at the moment, and we have to be positive. Reasons to be positive, Ollie. What have we got? We've got our next match. Tell us who the opponent is. Tell us what they're like. You've done all the scouting.
So
primarily because I've not had enough time to do it. Carry on.
We playing Elfsborg, and they are 20th in the Europa League on 10 points. They need a win to make sure they have a chance to progress to the last 16 over a two-legged match. They're not good away from home in Europe. They've lost all three of their games away from home in Europe, and we're unbeaten at home in Europe, which is nice to hear, but we haven't played at home in Europe.
It means nothing.
It does mean nothing. And a little interesting fact about Elfsborg is they're going to be very well rested because the Swedish league, it ends in early November. It ended in early November, and it doesn't start up again until late March. So they've only played 3 games since December 12th, and they've played in Europe once and had a friendly once in the new year. So they're going to be...
Was it against Barcelona and they won 6-0?
Nah, I'm not... I think they beat Nice at home in the Europa League. So
okay, so they're not a bad team to fair.
And yeah, it's like two polar opposites clashing. One team that has barely played and one team that can't catch a rest to save their life.
I'm going to go on the positive that they're very rusty. Match practice they haven't had. Are they? Have you looked at lineups and stuff like that? What they what they typically play compared to our sort of non-changing formation?
I've looked at some players who could be a threat to us, and they've actually got a blood brother pairing, a family affair at Elfsborg, and the younger brother of the Zanelli brothers, Bestfort, he's a midfielder, and I was watching some of his clips, and he likes to make late surges into the box and get on the end of crosses and stuff like that. And his brother he looks skillful, and he's got a strike on him. He's a winger, and yeah, I think they could be threats to us.
Mate, Werner looks good on YouTube. I always have that in my mind. This guy looks good.
We've been linked with him. YouTube.
Oh no, Werner looks good on YouTube. Amazing, absolutely world class. Okay, so I know. I think one of the guys from the podcast group is going to do a pre-match on Elfsborg anyway, which is fantastic, a bit more thorough. But we'll do a score prediction anyway, shall we?
Yeah.
Let's be positive. Go.
I'm going 3-2.
I can't see us keeping a clean sheet, but to be fair, I can't even see us scoring more than one goal at the moment. But I'm going to say 2-0. Will it be straightforward? Absolutely, no. Absolute breeze. No, I think that's it. But we've got to go. We've got to hope for a good, positive win and something positive, and that's all we can do really as Spurs fans currently. And it is hope, but as they say, mate, it's the hope that kills you. And on that bombshell, we're going to leave it. Until next time, it's goodbye from him, Ollie Kasabi.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me, Chris Mervyn. If you want to follow us on Twitter Twitter, etc. It's at GSBN Tottenham. You've been listening to the Daily Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.
Every club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.